Thank you for joining us for the November 2025 Sunday Sit Down. We come to you every month with tips and tricks based on real life experience and spiritual advice for you to get out of your own way. We typically like to refer to movies, TV shows, video games, things like that, because they are some of life's greatest teaching elements for our path. One of our favorite movies that we've seen and we've discussed before is Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is like the typical American chasing his dreams. For you, it may be something different than being a surgeon, but for Doctor Strange, it was to be a world class surgeon. At the top of his game, he underwent a traumatic accident, which, in his opinion, stole his life from him. In that moment, he was willing to do anything and pay anyone to be able to chase his dreams again, leading him to find Camartage and chase after it. He goes in, believes that they're a sham, calls the woman washed up, wanting to meet the ancient one, and only after she begins to step in does she flick her finger on his head and pushes him out of his body, where he spirals through an astral journey through the universe. When he finally snaps back to it, he says, "Teach me. What do I have to pay?" And that's when she's ready to dismiss him and throw him out. And it's in this moment that we realize the same thing with our students, that many people, either they're born with the spiritual awakening, they feel that they're here for a special purpose, or more than likely, they've been beat down by life. They've had psychic events happen to them that have taken away their health, wealth, fortune, or vitality, and they're looking for someone to help them. They're looking for someone who has the answers. And they come across a person who is a physical master, not a master over anyone else but themselves, someone like Joseph, and they look for him to give them the answers. They look for him to be the father figure, to be able to just, I can write a check out to you and you will teach me these ways. And that's not the way it works. So today we're going to get into, how does the spiritual path unfold for people? How does the master slash student arrangement work versus how it's failed in the past? And what you can be doing to become your own teacher for now and for the future. Because the only person who can truly awaken your spiritual potential and achieve the level of adepthood and then to spiritual mastery is yourself. So, Joseph, I'm going to turn the microphone over to you, and I want to kind of start off with a couple questions to get us rolling today. So, the first one is you've often stated that crisis is the best teacher and it's the necessity is mother of all invention. So how do you better frame this for students who are looking as a spiritual path to prevent them from getting into crisis? And what's the best way to deal with crisis when it comes up?
Great intro, man. Very insightful, very well explained. If I would have had a life that was easy, it was complacent, and nothing bad happened, I wouldn't have been driven to find my destiny, to find my purpose, to find what drives me, that fulfills me, what it's taken me so many levels beyond. It's through crisis, the dark night of the soul, the uh chaos events in our life that open our perspective to more. When we're born, we're brought up by a family, best case scenario, and everything goes perfect. That's best case scenario for a a person who's not going to achieve anything in their life. The best case scenario for a person who's really potentially going to be challenged to be here for more is they're going to have those chaos events. They're going to have those dark night of the souls. They're going to have a difficult upbringing. They're going to be a problem child, the black sheep of the family. And it's through life adversaries and adversarial experiences that we really, the, the strength of who we are is tested. And for those who are meant to be here for more, call it destiny, call it fate, call it karma, call it um, luck. You call it anything you want, but it was through the many horrible, overwhelming, intense, excruciating, blindsided experiences that pushed me to change, to push me to grow, to push me to become more. We did an experiment 5, 6 years ago now. It was in 2019. You, me, uh, and the other people in our group moved it out to Sedona. And said, let me try something different. Let me try coddling people. Let me try making it soft and easy and nice and awakening to the higher experiences early on so they'd be driven and they'd be excited. They'd be, yes, this is what I want to do. And it was the biggest and the biggest colossal failure that we've ever experienced. Not only did people not want to grow, they wanted us to give them everything. Not only did people want to come in and they want to be instant masters and they want the immediate gratification and they wanted the certificates and they want to be pronounced as lords or whatever else you can imagine. That's not what for the spiritually enlightened, the spiritually awakened, just like the movie Doctor Strange, you have to go through really, really, really bad experiences. Unfortunately, for most people, that's the way it is. Illness, um, sudden and just crazy, crazy stuff that happens to all of us, physical, spiritually and mentally, emotionally, some type of crisis, some type of trauma that awakens, that opens that door that takes the average person and awakens them to their supernatural self. Mm. For me, I was in Germany and I knew I had to walk the path. I had to know what it was. And it was in my teens, my late teens. And I joined the army knowing that I would meet the people who would awaken me to this path. I was still scared shitless. I was considering more so seminary school than walking this path. And it wasn't until I went to the Gulf War, had a really, absolutely a series of the most horrific, spiritual, demonic-oriented experiences that scared the living crap out of me, where I sat back and I said to myself, and I said to the people that I met at the time, teach me how to protect myself. Let's begin there. Teach me how to heal myself. Let's begin there. Forget about getting into all the spiritual stuff. Teach me, help me understand what I'm doing wrong. And that's how it began for me. Um, I had autoimmune diseases in my life that have pushed me to grow. I have contracted what we consider to be spiritual illnesses, Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, MS, and exposed to it spiritually and then how it affects the body and heal myself out so I can open the door for some people, not all people, to be able to help along the path. It was, every city I go to, because of my growth and because of the intensity of my energy, psychically, I get attacked by everything that's there. All the witches, all the ghosts, all of the hauntings, all the ETs, all of the ancestral spirits on the land, all of the nature spirits. And they look at me and say, you are trespassing against us. It's through these these crazy experiences that we all have this affords us the opportunity to grow. It's not someone can't hand you the certificate. They can't, you know, sit in this temple and meditate to God. That's not the way it works. It's the life that awakens you to it.
And that leads me to my next question. In a lot of the frustration that people in our group and other people on the spiritual path have, we've already talked about how there's not really a set curriculum. However, we do teach a base level of foundational skills, and people will often say, I'm overwhelmed by what to do. When do I apply this? How do I know how to do that? And What is your response to them on how they will learn by putting it into practice without the guide of a master or a coach? Um, are these things going to just magically they'll know the answer? Like, what is this process? Just to provide some clarity for them on helping them to believe in their own abilities the more and more that they do the techniques.
As we go through life, from toddler to growing up, we gain a base knowledge of what is safe and what's scary, what's positive and what's negative, what we're attracted to, what we're repelled by, what we enjoy and what we don't. Just basic common things. Spiritually, we take that same idea into a spiritual science and we call it a template. And in our template, we take a series of techniques and then we apply that technique to our base template. And the template will do the same thing we have when we talk about uh, a teenager having or not having the life experience to know when someone's bullshitting them or manipulating them in a relationship or controlling them or cheating them. And they will defend the person who's doing this until the end because of their lack of experience. But someone outside who's older with a fresh set of eyes looks at the person and says, gosh, man, this person's really taking advantage of you, or gosh, this looks like it's a really unsafe experience, or whatever. So we take this spiritual science of techniques and do the same thing we've done through our life. We now apply it spiritually. We know that if we go up to a spirit and we say, or if we feel or sense something in the house and we say, who's there? Who's there? The likelihood of spirits going to answer you is not. But if you are to say generally to the space, if there's any energies that are negative to my experience, you are invited to stay in the space if you allow yourself to absorb unconditional love from the Reiki degrees, from the goddess energy, from nature, whatever you want. And in that regard, evil energies or negative energies are not going to want to absorb unconditional love. They're going to leave without you having to say who's there. We know when we deal with possession and stuff, when people are demonically possessed, spiritually possessed, and there's anxiety, depression, vertigo, lupus, and then other things that are going on that can affect the body. He who speaks first to the spirit or the spirit back to them directly, either by asking questions or trying to engage, like, in the name of so and so, get out of the body. You have lost the ability to know the full truth of what the other parties are saying. So we know if we encounter demonic possession to somebody, we don't go up to the demonic possession and say, in the name of so and so, get out of the body. What we do is we have a technique to discern a symbol of consciousness. Every living being in existence, plant, animal, spirit, deity, angel, doesn't matter. We all have a name that is encoded in the language of light and the language of symbolism called angel speak or angel language. And if you can read the code, that's the name. So instead of going to the classic demonic possession case, you'd say, demon, tell us your name. Well, I don't need to hear the demon's name, and it could be a gazillion different translations. All I need to do is discern the code, poof. So I can identify the demon. And if I can read the code, I can read the location of the code, the age of the code, the time that it came in, who stands with the code, other demonic energies. I can read back in time, it will show a momentum, and then the momentum of how the demon interacted based on the code will show their intent. Will show into just any number of things. And this from our base science of reading the code, and then the mastery or the experience we have in doing this, we have so much information without ever communicating with the demon. So it's through practice, through experience, through trial and error, you're gonna learn what works, what doesn't work, what feels right, what doesn't feel right. Same thing you do growing up and you're a young child and you don't know your butt from a shoestring, experience-wise, and you need someone to teach you. Well, in this case, the teacher is you. I can give you all the information in the world, but if you don't get out there and learn to do it for yourself, you never gain confidence in your ability. You'll never gain mastery.
Another spin-off question on that is people look at you and they see an end result of 35 plus years. I believe I'm getting that estimate correct. And it's very easy to go to a state of comparison of I should be like this person or I should be like that person. Why is comparison dangerous? And in what ways do you differ than the people who are coming to you as a student looking to learn from a master?
I'm a master of a lot spiritually, but I'm not a master above anybody else. I'm a master student. So I've studied all of these philosophies and I've applied the spiritual science we use to gain mastery through experience, not through book learning, not from watching TV, not from taking a course, actual physical experience with everything that's out there, and then having the mastery with all the people that I've taught over the years and all the healing work I've done over the years and all the work I've done for possession work and energetic parasite work and uh, a lot of the scary stuff that's out there. Having done this for so many years, I've gained a tremendous amount of mastery, but I'm not a master before anybody listening on this call, much less anyone I work with. If anything, I'm below you. I'm a stepping stone. I'm a bridge. I'm a doorway. Someone who have facilitate for you to do all that you can do, and help you fail in the process. And through your failures and your mistakes, you're going to learn, change, and grow. You're not going to learn, change, and grow by getting it right every time. I got the system, Joe, and I studied the system, and now I get out there and I do everything right every time. It's incredible. We call that bullshit. Um, when somebody comes in, it's to their own path. It's the same signs that we all utilize to connect to source God. Or what we really say is we descend from source God all the way down to our physical incarnation now. And it's a unbecoming of our soul identity, aka our ego, so we can rediscover or remember through Akashic record memory that is found in everything in existence our way back to source God. Now we have a specific path that we follow, techniques and sciences and different stages, and then we have higher level master stuff we get into that's the same for all of us. But here's the catch. How I learn is different than how you learn. How I do my discerning, although it's the same basic technique, having done it for 35 years, it's different than the way you do it. Now, we all start off the same, but we all have unique abilities. We all have a unique perspective. We all have a unique whole set of ideas and thought processes and everything else that we have for ourselves. So if I teach you my exact way, I'm cheating you of your potential by assisting you to be outside of the group on your own and giving you the space to make mistakes, to ask questions, to be there to support you when bad stuff happens, because bad stuff's going to happen. It's life. to help you gain mastery to your own experience, and that breadcrumb trail going back to source God that you need to access on your own, which is completely different than the way that I did it, but the same general science. I need to support you in that process. If I bring you in underneath my wing and I deny you of this life experience, we call it the life of excess, all the stuff that's out there, I'm cheating you of your potential. In this regard, if you go to somebody else who does this, they are controlling you, they're manipulating you. They are saying to you, I don't want you to go above me because I can't guide you through the really, really intense stuff. Well, I've gone through all the really intense stuff. And so all the masters that work in this group, and even the adept people that have become masters, have gone through all of the really, really, really intense stuff. And they need to. And this is how they grow. And they're gonna make a gazillion mistakes. And this is one of the things, two things that people will hear me say hundreds, if not thousands of times. One of them is, how come you didn't know? You come to me, you have an issue, and you'll think, well, I didn't know because I didn't have a book, or I didn't know because um, it wasn't taught in class. And the answer will come back to the reason why you don't know because I didn't tell you. What I'm really saying is not that I know everything, you didn't discern it properly. Had you discern it properly, you would know the general, maybe not the specific, but the general overall. And I want to get you to the point to where you are not come to me, "Master, master, oh my god," and you want my approval and you want my assistance. I really want you to be pissed off at me. I want you to dislike me. I want you to have a level of respect, not comparison to me, to the point where like, freak that Joe God can't stand my hate his guts. Ah, he just infuriates me. Good. Until you get it down for yourself. And then you can walk with me as a fellow master.
You've just been saying that really the person who's a good teacher is the one who is willing to let their student fail and fail multiple times over and over again. In fact, you said that those who coddle their students or who do not allow the student to fail are actually involved in a form of coercion, manipulation, and enslaving the student to them because it prevents the student from growing, which means that they won't be a threat to the master because the student will never surpass the master. Now, that's an interesting viewpoint of all of this. I just am pointing this out into having you touch upon people look at you and they come across you and they meet you. And for someone who has so much nuance about what spiritual mastery is about, you don't display any typical outward appearances of a master. You don't display um, a level of energy where people feel infatuated by it. So, can you talk to us about why you've learned on your spiritual path that connection to someone is actually dangerous and why feeling something with somebody else is actually not beneficial as people have been led to believe?
There's a TV show. We watch a lot of TV shows, and it's called Good Omens. And the end of the first season, the witch hunter, the female, is looking to find the Antichrist and banish him or kill him or destroy him, whatever. And she's in the hometown of where the young boy Antichrist is, but her compass is no matter which way she goes, turns around and goes the other direction. And the narrator of the sitcom steps in as God, says that the aura of the Antichrist is the size of New York State or a tri-state area. And you're in the middle of it. So no matter which way you go, the compass is not going to work. You have to be way outside to pinpoint the general direction. Now, that being said, when people come around me, they're not going to feel anything. If they're in my space for more than 12 hours, they're going to feel a high. They're gonna feel elevated. The pain will go away in their body. Issues that they have or symptoms of issues that they have will go away. Because inside of my direct space, all of their issues, I will not allow to affect me. And they will return back to their bodies after state of healing itself. And I begin to feel great. After a couple of days of being in my space, you'll watch a person literally go through a whole life transformation. But I don't allow people to be in my space because they become addicted to my energy. They become infatuated with my energy. They doesn't matter if you're a man, doesn't matter if you're a woman, you'll start to interpret that on a sexual level. And it's not sexual, it's an energetic. The reason why you interpret on a sexual level is because humanity wants to believe in the idea of spirituality, but they can't, how do I say this? They can't um, interpret what that really means because they use the body and the soul as a medium of experience. Spirituality is an experience of spirit within your physical body and the soul. It's a soul experience, it's not a spirit. So, this higher level spirit is spirituality. Otherwise, for humanity, it's a belief. Okay. So, if a person meets a spiritual master or spiritual guru or someone claiming to be the like, and they have a connection, oh my gosh, kiss of death. No different than if somebody crosses paths with someone they have this spark, or you're on a date and lightning strikes. Oh my God, I know this person. Wow, I just can't explain it. Oh, it's like we've always been together. It's identifying a karmic relationship. And one of the things we want to avoid on the path, we want to identify fate, karma, destiny, but we also want to avoid the recurrence of fate, karma, and destiny. So the recurrence is recognized through a spark of a connection. If the connection is really profound and powerful, that means in the past life, they did this or past lives, an exact same energy of a person or exact same energy of experience that you don't remember was so intense, it was like lightning strike then. Well, think about the idea. When lightning strikes, what happens? Shit gets destroyed. Just because you don't remember the past when lightning strikes, but you now feel the connection is saying, karma, 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 red alert, red alert, red alert, run away, run away, run away. So it's saying energetically and spiritually, get GTFO, get out ASAP. You've identified it. You don't want to reoccur. What we want to do is identify the karma, the fate, destiny, and then go around it to say, oh my gosh, the person, object, event, location, I don't want to repeat. It's like dating an ex. You broke up with your ex because you didn't get along or whatever the issue is. It's now having your memory right. You're coming across your ex again and lightning strikes. Oh my God, I know this person, but you don't remember why. I don't want to repeat the past. That's a recurrence. I want to identify that spark and that connection and then step off to the side. So thank you, God, for helping me identify that spark to this connection, this recurrence. And then I want to avoid it now and in the future. Now, it doesn't mean I will tell the person to take a hike. I just won't get involved in whatever the person's business dealings are or spiritual, so on and so forth. So the recurrence, to the spark, to the connection. Now, a lot of people, because they're under this idea that a powerful experience, wow, so powerful, no different than you walk into a room and you feel the energy and the vibe and the intensity, or you meet a person, or you have a spiritual experience in a ashram or at a temple or doing whatever. The more powerful it is, the lower the vibrational experience. When it's really, really intense, it's first chakra, baby. You're not going up, you're going down, and it's going to get worse from here on out. It's like that first hit of a drug. And after the first drug, you need so much more to keep that same intensity, but you never would catch it. Real spiritual, higher level frequency is me hearing bass. Oh, yeah, boom, 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 boom. Like techno, oh my God, this is so great. But a dog hears techno and not into it. The dog hears this higher frequency stuff that we don't hear because it's so high. And the higher the energy is, the less we're aware of it. This is why people don't hear angels speaking all the time. Why they don't see angels all the time. Why they don't, but they're aware of all the spiritual stuff because it's high frequency stuff. So the higher level stuff, you're going to need a new set of abilities to interact, to communicate, to understand, to gain awareness of it. If you rely on a very powerful connection, one, it's psychic. When you have a psychic connection, you're connecting with a personal application event. That connection pings back to your memory, it reflects going into your memory, and in your memory, you have an association that gives you a base understanding of what it could be. Psychic is kids to death. We don't do psychic. The psychic fuels the karma, the fate, and destiny of the recurrent lightning strike. It's another form of having an intense connection, and a connection spiritually is the worst thing you want to happen. The recurrence is what traps you here, seeing never grow. Because you get at the recurrence, what happens? You get caught back into hype and drama. Tell me about any friends or any family that are going through hype and drama that you want to get involved with. You're like, oh my God, please, not again. So that spiritual connection, that lightning strike, is a recurrence for that hype and drama that come up again. You just don't remember it.
Okay. That leads us into another realization and another question, in that most people are looking for a hype and a drama connection. And no matter how many times people will say, I'm ready to grow spiritually, the hype and drama will always get into the way. So you talked a little bit about in the past about why living a life of excess is important, so that it will prevent the person's ego from saying, I need to have this, I need to have that. Can you speak a little bit more on why the life of excess is important to us, and why, when we say excess, we don't mean necessarily everything as a first person experience, and how you can work around that, and why it's necessary for the spiritual path?
There's three main general paths we have the choice to walk in life. The first path we have is to try and find the easy way. Who doesn't want the easy way? I want the easy way. Um, Even now, and all the spiritual stuff that I go through, do I want to go the difficult path? I don't. Do I need to go through the difficult path? I do. Why? If I take the easy way, I'll never be challenged to grow and become more. Okay, that's the first path. The second path is you take the path of easy. You try and do everything that's right. You get a job, you travel, you are in a good relationship. You're trying to do the right thing in life. You go to church, you're spiritual. You follow the Ten Commandments. You follow some spiritual class or whatever it is, and then you get blindsided in life. Bam, you have a midlife crisis. Bam, you have an autoimmune disease. Bam, you have a terminal illness. Bam, you have a chaos. You have a dark night at the soul. You lose your job. You crash your car. The universe is saying, bro or sis, you're not on the right path for where you need to be. So the easy way, the universe will try to correct you to say you're here for more. Don't buy into Everyone needs to have 2 kids, a house, a car, a husband and a wife, the perfect job, the perfect location, the perfect this, the perfect community, the perfect clothes, the perfect look, the perfect forget about all that bullshit. Life blindsides you. That's path 2. Path 3, it's a path of excess. So instead of waiting for life to blindside me because I know I'm here for more. I know I don't fit into the mold of having a family and settling down and then raising my kids and taking them into school, going to work and retiring and growing old, dying. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here for more, much, much more. So I need the path of excess. Now, on the path of excess, it's 2 paths. The first path of excess is the literal idea of you drink too much, you smoke too much, you party too much, you travel too much, you just do everything too much, and you have illnesses, and you have problems, and you have addictions. That's the bad side of the path of excess. The good side of the path of excess is you do everything through discerning. What I mean is, on a physical perspective, you're a people watcher. You watch the TV shows on serial killers. I don't want to do that. You watch the TV shows on the cruise ships. I don't want to do that. You watch the TV shows Mike Rowe's Job, Dirty Jobs. You look on those. I don't want to do that. And you gain insight, awareness, and understanding of all the things that are out there, and what it helps you is narrow down in your life what it is you do want to do. Then, so let's say you get down on average 5 to 10 things in your life. That these are things you consider work, relationships, spiritual, travel, physical vitality, whatever they are. And then you um, go and explore those physically. You actually go and try it. You talk to people who have been in those fields for 20, 30, 50 years. You ask the general questions. Are you fulfilled in your job? Was it all that you hoped for? Do you have the flexibility? Um, was there room for growth? Did you get pigeonholed because of what you're doing? What did bring you the happiness and fulfillment? And you do this in each one of these areas, and you narrow down to 1 to 3 things that you believe are going to really fulfill you. Through this path of excess, you are self-guiding, you are teaching yourself about what in life you need, but more importantly, what you don't need. And that's where the path of excess narrows it down. For people like me, I'm not driven to the right job or the right relationship, the right location to live. I'm driven in service to source, following a spiritual science, breaking the cycle of reincarnation while I'm alive, growing, accessing abilities that I can influence. I can have awareness, I can influence my body, or through a body of awareness, not utilizing my physical body, my soul. We call this ritualistic magic. So the ritualistic magic is you utilize a medium to perform a ritual that has an outcome. This medium could be brushing your teeth. It could be lighting a candle and saying a prayer. It could be doing 5 hours of yoga. You are using the physical body. Then you could also use the soul. You could do astral projection. You could do soul retrieval. Do any number of things with the soul. But still, because you're utilizing the physical body of the soul involved as a medium to which you have a ritual that has an outcome, it's ritualistic magic. Ritualistic magic, the physical body of the soul, is tied to fate, karma, destiny, which means it's part of your recurrence. So anything you do in your life, utilizing your physical body or your soul, is reaffirming, it is reinforcing fate, karma, and destiny. It doesn't matter what your belief system is. That's what's happening. The only way to escape it that I've seen in all that's out there is what we do, and it's freeing self-awareness from memory, and it's self-awareness and memory coupled within the soul. That's called consciousness. Freeing self-awareness beyond the physical body of the soul, and it's the body of awareness beyond that then influences from a distance our physical body, our environments, uh, timelines of our life, routes of our life, relationships of our life, experience of our life with people, objects, locations, and events. It's through the body of awareness. So when they, which is all the people out there, talk about having a connection with Source God, if it's done through the body or the soul, when Jesus talked about the original idea of his church, he wasn't talking about a building. He was talking about a coming together of people. In the original idea, the coming together had nothing to do with the body or the soul. It was a state of awareness. That was the coming together. In that state of awareness, people talk about the idea of connecting with God. Oh, Joe, you don't understand. And I was talking to God and I connected to God and I felt God. It's impossible. You can feel a part of God. You can feel a deity aspect of God, an angelic aspect, a Christ aspect of God. You can feel a manifestation on an individual form, whether it's energetic, spiritual, of God. But God is this uncreation event before time came into form, before the Big Bang, before everything else. It's indefinable. It's beyond the idea of what can be contained in any single idea, thought, expression, embodiment. So what we do is we reflect source. And in our growth, as we expand and remember in becoming more of a body of awareness, expanding that infinitely, we reflect all that is. We never connect. I know it's a lot of stuff.
That was definitely a mouthful. But I think the important thing people to take away from this is we talk a lot about reflection versus connecting, and in simpler terms, most people connect because they have a sense of something being good or bad, positive or negative. They like it, they don't like it. They are utilizing their emotions or their senses to formulate a sense of someone based upon their past memory, which is fueled by fate, karma, and destiny. That is what is connecting, and it is only based upon what's prescripted for your events to happen and people you'll be drawn to continue to turn the wheel of karmic fate for you. Whereas people who you meet and you tend to not feel an immediate connection, it's the counterpoint to that is some people will automatically categorize that person as being evil or untrustworthy or not wanting to associate with that person. And I've seen this happen a couple of times actually, where people can't get a read on you, they will respond negatively. And for us, it's actually a compliment because for us, we are trying to only attract the people to us who are part of those who can walk with us now and in the future as they go through their own growth processes and changes, and not just continue to attract people to us that are only here for karmic reasons tied to our fate and karma and destiny. Reflection, on the other hand, is a step above. People normally say, okay, everyone in your life is a reflection of you and the things that you need to change about yourself and law of attraction. We're talking about something different. So, something that we speak about of reflection is I don't know if people have seen the movie Tron, but a great movie. But in that movie, people are basically downloaded from the real world into the simulation, into um, what do they call it? The net or the grid? The grid. And once they get to the grid, they have a perfect reconstruction of who they are and what they represent within that system. And in essence, we are teaching people to turn their awareness into a kind of computer program because the matrix simulation is a type of AI experience. And so when we say reflection, we begin to see the people as that set of code that's reflected in the idea of their being without actually being drawn in by their masks without actually being drawn in by the fate, karma, and destiny strings being pulled. So I just want to clarify that it's a little bit more, and you just look at someone and they reflect your positive and your negative traits. Am I saying that or stating that correctly? Or are there any things that you would like to correct or change or add to?
It's interesting. You can't escape your fate, karma, and destiny. No matter what chapter in your life you had, the same story come up over and over and over. This is actually a really good thing. This is not something you can ever get rid of. The same lessons, the same relationships, the same archetypes, the same people are going to keep coming up over and over and over. This means you're alive. This means you're here. This is a wonderful expression of who we are. It's also helping you identify that you're constantly being tested. The universe, the matrix, this dimension of time and space, consciousness doesn't want you to break free of the grips. This is something we talk about amongst ourselves about the idea of the Christ energy that came in, and people say, that Christ here to heal the world and save the souls and forgive the sins. Bullshit. The Christ energy was always meant to fail. It has always failed. You take Buddha, you take Krishna, you take Jesus, you take um, all of the Christ that we have ever known. They succeed or potentially succeed or what hopes to succeed because they awaken other people to becoming Christ. But you can't awaken other people. You can show them the path or reveal the path and the different doorways, give them the insights, the spiritual science, and everything else. But each person must walk themselves. Each person must choose, just like the movie The Matrix, the red pill or the blue pill. And this is something that once they choose to wake up, they have to do it secretly. They have to do it in a cloaking way because if they don't, and the universe sees them awakening, it will create hype and drama and karma and fate and destiny related to predeterminism of your soul contract for being here. And it's a bitch. We call this ego, but it's so much more than ego. There's predeterminism. You incarnated. There's a contract. You have this fate, karma, destiny. You have the same hype and drama, the same lessons, the same people, the same archetypes that come up over and over and over. So and this is something we talked about earlier about not being recognized as a Christ or this incredible, amazing energy. You don't want the universe to see you growing because the universe will try everything it can to put you back on track for the storyline that interconnects with this intergalactic, interdimensional, limitless web of life. So if you to walk the spiritual path, you must become better at your life and living your life at the same time to the matrix to the end of the system in your growth. You must do it unseen. It's what we call sleepwalking through life, or given the impression or the cloaking, the mirage of sleepwalking through life. People wear a mask, and they wear a mask of who they want themselves to be presented as. We don't wear a mask to other people. There is no mask. We don't exist. We have unbecome the idea of self in the matrix, but we offer presentation to the matrix. It's a little more advanced stuff. Um, so the matrix doesn't blindside us. And if you get off track and then get caught in the ego and the power and the energy and the intensity and all the incredible energy that you feel as you grow, and trust me, it's your growth becomes so intoxicating because you will feel the energy of God. You feel the energy of the universe. You feel the energy of nature. You will feel that life force that flows to all things on a level that people will never be able to imagine because they can't experience it through the body or the soul. It was never designed for it. They can, So a body of awareness that you utilize is a spirit vessel or a deity vessel or a godhood vessel, all within the matrix, all connected to the soul aspect. So you can experience all of the incredible, amazing, beautiful energies that are out there, but you must do so with the intention of transcending the experience you're not defined by it. Because the moment your ego says, this is just who I am, and this is what I want, and this is what I love, the universe, the matrix would say, aha, there is a someone trying to break free the code, someone's trying to disrupt the system, and I'm gonna come after you like a motherfucker. You're gonna have blindside events, you're gonna have dark night of soul events, you're gonna have midlife crisis events, you're gonna have sudden illness, sudden heart attacks, sudden this, sudden that, to try and push you back, to scare you, to get you back into walking the line of your predeterminism. There's so much going on. It's really incredible.
That really is a lot that you're giving us to think about here. Especially when you're speaking about being pulled on script or off script and walking the line almost is what you're talking about. This experience of the line between staying on target and but growing in secret as well. And this is not something that we discussed prior to this call, but something to reiterate. We've talked about cloaking and things before, and this is just an aside. People always ask us, well, how do we cloak? And something that I just reminded several people of is that cloaking is not a one time thing, it's an ever changing experience. If you are to look at um, an animal going across its environment, it is making a calculation because it knows that its prey is whether it's going from a rock to a tree to a grassy area to underneath soil. And so it's constantly surveilling everything around it, seeing which areas are going to be less deadly than others and making contingency plans. And all of that's part of cloaking. And so for us, I think the best advice we can give to people for cloaking is to become a better student of the natural world around you. Discern the animals on the nature shows. Discern how things interact around you. You might take a hit for it, but that's how you learn. Um, but there's no one size fits all approach to cloaking. I mean, my God, we tried to tell people years ago, what was it like? Imagine that you are hiding in around the blade of grass outside in nature, and people would be taking a piece of themselves that looks like them and hiding behind a blade of grass. And it's so ridiculous when you think about it spiritually, because everything spiritual is going to be looking at you trying to be Bugs Bunny hiding behind a tree, basically.
It's all right.
Um, but it's an example of why we can't take information that's given and just convert it into something that's at our level to understand it and how to employ it. Even any information that you provide to students, it's important the student has to utilize their templates to discern the information that you're giving to digest what's needed, and they'll be prompted to learn how to put it into practice when the time is right.
People are going to fail cloaking a gazillion different ways. You heard me talk previously today or tonight about um, body of awareness. If you are utilizing the idea that you are your soul identity in it looks like your physical body, and in this case, you're Bugs Bunny hiding behind a tree. But if you're a body of awareness, you can reflect your entire environment, not any one thing within or hidden within your environment. So you can imagine that you are a rock, but you're also the entire environment through a body of awareness. If someone comes in and they see the rock and they say, well, that's not Joe, on a physical level or when I meet people, I will cloak as being the putz, the moron, the idiot, the nice guy who's a dummy, the schmuck. And it's hilarious because people will interact with me in directly in front of my face, like I am oblivious to everything, and I'm the dumbest guy coming down the pike. Not realizing I could read their memory. I could read their intent. I could read their thoughts. I could read their past. Now, when I say read, I discern through codes. I'm not actually seeing their thoughts, but I'm reading a projection of consciousness. And then from the projection of consciousness, I overlay it for all the other forms of consciousness I've seen, and it gives me an overall interpretation of what their intention is. Are they divinely innocent? Are they naive? Are they a perpetrator? Are they connected to the hype and drama? Are they connected to a karmic relationship? Are they a karmic archetype that's going to be in my life? So when I sit back with an individual or a group, because of the level of discernment I'm doing, I'm reading everything that's going on. Are they capable of change? Are they, how long are they going to live? Are they destined genetically to have a disorder or an illness? So there's so much stuff you can read, you know. Um, Part of the discernment, the template, my template is not any one thing. I have tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of millions of templates going on all the time. At my level, I call it an algorithm, like an AI. So a lot of stuff we do at the higher level is AI stuff, or comparable to AI stuff. So when they talk about the super conscious of the computer, you never be able to understand it. I'm so far ahead of that. Um, does that mean that I'm a math or coding whiz? Man, I suck at math. I suck at coding. But we're talking about algorithms at a very high level in states of awareness, the higher levels of consciousness. I can read stuff. The subtleties that will blow, man, it's crazy. But the cloaking is at all these levels, I'm in a body of awareness. I'm not an individual aspect. And that's the big mistake that people are going to have. We teach you a basic technique when you first encounter an ET. Everyone encounters it. We all have, whether you're aware of it or not. You were paralyzed in your sleep. You get sleep paralysis. You're frozen. You can't think. You're just sitting there in your bed and you're frozen. And, oh my God, oh my God. And you're thinking to yourself, oh my God, but you can't speak. You can't move. You can't think any outward thoughts and do stuff. You're screaming in your head. What we say is, presenting yourself as a reflection to reflect as a mirror the ET, the spirit, the whatever could be engaging in you, and that they see themselves and they recognize that you're creating an image that's a pure reflection of them. You're going to realize that you are awake spiritually and that you're someone to work with versus someone to come in and try and control. And that's the first step of interaction when you can't speak, you can't think, but you can still imagine, do reflection, stay calm. They see it, and then they'll recognize and take a step back, and they'll unfreeze you and they'll begin to work with you. And they'll ask you a series of questions. And now those questions that they're going to ask you, I'm not going to tell you what it is, because if I open that door for you and you walk through it, and then you're really overwhelmed, you thought I was scared before, I'm doing injustice.
Wow. I think this is an important time to recircle again on um, why we are making the decision into bringing our failures from the trying to teach the apprenticeship forward and up to the table. Because what you just stated of, availing people to an experience that they aren't necessarily ready for. This is what happens when you talk about being caught up in your updraft. Can you talk a little bit more about why this updraft is dangerous and why students connecting to it can be so detrimental to their growth, even though theoretically they're thinking that by connecting to the person who is the person they see as the greatest master out there, they're thinking they're connecting to this person as an example, but it's really to their detriment being into your updraft.
Updraft is something very, very powerful that we came into the understanding of what was going on about 20 years in. So 20 years on my path. And I started to realize that people who work with me for a couple of years that caught up in my updraft. So the updraft is from learning the affirmation to self-will. It's a reference that we use in the discernment. So humans discern a reference to their memory. Your memory is a lie. It's a story, kind of like, what's the show we watched with the robots been? Um Something World,
Westworld.
Westworld. That's humanity. And it's pre-scripted, predetermined, pre-laid out, pre-soul contract. When you do your contract come in, it's all set up, the general of everything that's going to happen. And it's the karma, it's the connection that keeps you on track to do storyline. Okay. So everything you do in your life, you refer back to your memory. And is there a connection? Do I have an understanding about it? Now, your base ability, and this for every living thing there is, animals have it naturally. It's the instinct. For us, it's our gut instinct. We discern a reference to the affirmation of self-will. It's a definition of ourself reflecting source God before creation came into form. So when we discern a lamp, a rock, a crystal, a painting, a building, a person, any symbol of consciousness, we always say, I'm discerning in reference to the affirmation circle will. What this means is, in reference to the affirmation of will, is this one piece that I'm discerning and interact with now connected to my breadcrumb trail back to source God, my individual path back up. And if not, then it's not needed per the affirmation of will, or it is. Okay. The affirmation of self will is an updraft, and how did this come into being? The purpose of existence for someone like me as an oversoul being down here, not a Buddha or a strict Krishna, false past that as well where I'm at now, is to find the secret of consciousness. And you think, see, consciousness is static. So first chakra is nature. Fifth chakra is humanity. Sixth chakra is you get angels and demons, then beginning the ETs and higher spiritual stuff. Um, Between the seventh chakra, which is first chakra, the spirit, and the 12th chakra, which is sixth chakra, the spirit, you get into all of the Yahweh stuff and angels of heaven and so on and so forth. Every level of consciousness is static. It doesn't move. You'll hear a lot of people talk about ascension, and they're gonna ascend their soul into higher dimensional consciousness. And I sit back and say, "Oh my God, please don't do this." Because if your soul raises it up, it's leaving the body, your body will start shutting down. You hear about Buddhist monks who go into this deep meditation and they literally mummify their body while they're alive. The soul is not supposed to leave the body. Your body of awareness can dislocate from the soul energy, and in its expansion in every direction can raise above any frequency of consciousness. That raising above that its expansion in reference to the affirmation of self will create an updraft. If you or anyone begins utilizing the affirmation of self-will that we use with the techniques, it avails the secret of consciousness that you can inhabit or utilize a body or soul while your awareness expands infinitely. You're growing. With that growth will naturally come power. You should never seek power, but you become powerful in the process. But it's one of those sayings that people say, those of great power have great responsibility. And you need to do. But it's the updraft that the secret of consciousness that when you begin utilizing it, you are pulled up. In my expansion, in my expansion being limitless, I've created a vacuum that pulls everything up that usually affirmations up will. So once you begin utilizing this, you will learn, change, and grow, or it will kill you because your soul will be pulled up outside of your body into higher consciousness if you are not in your body of awareness. So if you're not in your body of awareness, you will begin to get dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, multiple sclerosis. Your soul will be pulled into the spirit realm where it's not supposed to be because you're connecting to my updraft per the affirmations of self-will, and it is a bitch. It's nothing I can do for you. So if you reach a point in this philosophy and you begin utilizing the affirmation of self-will, which most people are not ready to use, and you get caught in my updraft, you will learn, change, and grow through a body of awareness, or your soul gets pulled up and you begin checking out. And it's no joke.
Um, I kind of want to touch base on not only is the affirmation of self and will setting you in alignment with the path that you've grown, but the path that we're all walking is one of unbecoming, one of an unknown path. And something that is frustrating to a lot of students is that they are used to walking a path in which they seek to find the right ways to do things, whereas we seek to uncover all the wrong ways of doing things. And we've done an episode before on why this path is a path, what we call the Edison effect of learning what is going to work by learning all the ways of what doesn't work first. So, just another caveat for those who are thinking about this path or anything else, this is not one in which, okay, you learn the basics and then you start forging ahead and you learn everything the right way immediately. No, each and every time you're going to go through the same process of learning all the wrong ways to do something, and then the right way will click in, or you will have a new perspective, or you will have a shift. And it will be this way each time. So for those who are looking for the easy way, this is not the path for you. This is the path for
You
people
bring up
who
a phenomenal point, Ben, and an absolutely phenomenal point. Every level we go through, every new experience we have is an opportunity to learn all the wrong ways that doesn't work. So part of the secret of the unknown path to the unknown destination, it's the affirmation of self-will, that's your body awareness expanding, access on Akash records, all the tests that come in, so on and so forth. How we are able to navigate what is unknown is we are able to at any level know when we go in every wrong way to do it because we found at every single level every single wrong way possible, the Edison effect, to realize very quickly two, three, or four paths that are potential correct ways. Two or three of those four are tests uh, meant for those who are going to not walk in peace to integrity. We're going to walk in pride, or we're going to walk in ego, searching for power, searching for control, and they will naturally gravitate to the wrong path. And the right path of the four condensed paths that come out, having learned to do the path of excess, everything that's the wrong way to do it, that one right path, which will be you'll go through 10,000 times, 100,000 times, a million times, a billion times in all your growth. The path that's unknown and the destination that is unknown because there's no books on it. There's nothing that I can't provide anything. I can open the door for people to walk to different levels, but they must awaken to it themselves. And in that unknown path, unknown destination, to see every possible wrong way to narrow down the right ways, and then walk into peace, truth, integrity, per the affirmation of self-will, in service to God, selflessly. This is the unbecoming, because we are this expanding body of awareness as we let go of the identity of who we believe ourselves to be within soul memory of the predetermined matrix scenario, soul conscious, so on and so forth. It's a lot.
I mean, think about all the things of what you're saying. It definitely does feel like a lot that's going on, and we haven't even talked about journeying in kingdoms of consciousness. We haven't talked about the importance of doing things like removing the conditional memory that's holding you back. But one thing that I did want to touch on out of everything we talked about a lot here is why one of the biggest things that hold us back is our past. And what would you say is a great way for students to not be held back by their past and realize that they can't change it, but how they can employ either perspective or reflection or friction or anything else on how they can begin not being held back by their past at this level that they're on right now?
It's several things. One, friction. Two, it's having awareness of our past. See, because of memory, we have a timeline of our life. And the really powerful connections that we have in our past, positive and negative, whenever we're doing something in the present, when someone in our sum total of all our friends, our family, our connections in life, when they're going through something, they can't connect with you in the present. What they're going to do is they're going to connect with you in the past, and you're going to sit back, or the person's going to sit back and say, "Gosh, I just felt like time was thinking about me. Or I just had a memory pop in, which I haven't in 30 years about my childhood at home, or a vacation I was on. I was on this vacation with Valerie and, whatever, whatever, whatever." It's the past memory that people are vulnerable of this past lives and past higher consciousness experiences that we've had, that in the ever present, we feel like we have a state of control because we're looking at what's going to be coming us in the near future, the near present, and the near future, and the future. But the biggest issue that we need to identify and be aware of is all of our connections to the past. So if you had an issue with relationships and you get really good at boundaries in the present, and when you talk to people now, you have really good boundaries and you're really good in discerning if someone's going to be positive to you or not. The problem is when your karmic lessons come back up again, their experiences are reconnected in your past. One is going to be when you think about anything in the present, you're going to go back to your memory and say, is this person positive or negative based on all the memory I've had? Or the archetypes that are coming up in your life are going to ping your memory and get you to look back in the past and do that past experience connect with a very powerful present or near present person, whether it's someone you know or someone you're about to meet. One of the ways that we counter this is called friction. Once we identify the archetypes of our life, the people that play all the big roles, we will identify one person in our life that really rubs us the wrong way, somebody we know. And it gives you a really good sense of friction against this person. And if you maintain the awareness of the friction without the hype and drama of the friction, it keeps you focused here and now and alert of stuff that can come in the past, stuff that can come in the present, stuff that can come in the peripheral, stuff that can blindside us because we're not becoming complacent. So the friction helps us maintain an open, clear awareness right now all the time. So we have the friction, we have the memory of the past. What can we do to counter this? Well, friction is a part of it. Um, the other thing is resolve a memory to unconditional love in the past. But I think more importantly is thinking about all the key people we have in our life, family, friends. It's really the family connection or the real deep friendship or lover connection we have in our past that can uh, open up a vulnerability for a current energy, either in our peripheral or in our near present, to connect and get us to connect with them. And then the connection invite either us to walk towards them or that energy to cross paths with us. Um, Awareness, man, it's a bitch. What's one technique? There's no one technique. Friction is a part of it. Awareness of the relationship in the past, having good boundaries. Whenever I think of, or my mom will pop in, and I was like, I'll get a sense. My mom is thinking about me because I'll think about like something with her in the past, a phone conversation, whatever, and just pops in. That's my mom thinking about me, and I will immediately go back in my memory and say, no, like standing there guarding the door. No. And I feel her try different ways in my memory to try and reconnect to something that's important to her. But what's more important to me is not getting caught up on the hype and drama, the egoistic aspect, that predeterminism that's going to put me back onto an experience that I know is only negative. I want to be aware of the negative, and then being aware of it, I want to be then proactive so I don't have to go through the lesson again. Does this cover you have more insight on this, buddy?
I think that our goal is just to do the brief highlights, which I think we're doing a great job of, and I think there's a lot that we've covered. I don't have anything else that I want to add on to this except that when we go back and we look at Doctor Strange, what we first opened up with, it was only when he was pushed to beyond the precipice of feeling that there was nothing left in life worth for living. And only at that point was he willing to accept the idea that he needed to change and that his whole life prior to that point really meant nothing. And this is why this path is so difficult because you get in your own way. You want to hang on to the relevancy of what you've accumulated, whether it's knowledge, whether it is wealth and riches, whether it's relationships, whatever it is. And all of these things must be destroyed. And this is why you have to get out there. You have to go and make the mistakes for you to realize what it is that you don't need. And as you cross each of those things off your list of realizing, I don't need those things, that's the only time that the ego will be willing to sit back and allow you to embrace the higher spiritual timeline of your life rather than the karmic one that's down here keeping you on that hamster wheel that we spoke about. Um, this is why we say that ego can't be overcome. It can only be circumvented through this process. Did you have anything else that you wanted to add today, Mr. Joseph?
I will tell you that you did a phenomenal job today, as you do every time on the calls, and really giving perspective. Uh, you know, because of my state of awareness, the higher level stuff that I go, a lot of what I talk about, the fellow adepts or masters can grasp the concepts. Um, but most of the stuff we talk about is going to go over people's heads, and that I'm cool with that. This is really information for us to listen to again. It's not channeled, but it's brought in from a wealth of, as you and I both know, failure. And how many times have we failed on the different levels? And I have failed in how I've taught people, and I have failed in how I shared this information. I have failed in how trying to help people and trying to do the right thing was doing the wrong thing. And then I failed as a Christ energy, trying to uh, share the secret of consciousness for others to walk this path. And I failed in the belief system that I was here to help facilitate and bring about a change for an individual or for a group. And I'm not. Each one of us are here for the collective. Each one of us is here for God. We're not here for each other. The path that we walk is very lonely. Um, it's when you come to the awareness and understand of what you don't need in your life, you're gonna give up all your friends. You're gonna give up all your family. Not because I want you to, not because I want you to isolate. I want you to do the path of Texas. I want you to experience more life, but you're going to. And you have the ego to contend with, and you have, everyone in your life is gonna come in and say, "Joseph, you're crazy, man. You're giving away this, and you're giving away that, and you should be accumulating. You should be having more." And trust me, I have an overflow that's incredible on so many different levels, but I'm not here for me. I'm here in service to Father. I'm here in service to God, not the Christian gods or any religious gods. It's a source God that is in the infinite nothingness before creation came into, and a reflection of that, not a reconnection, a reflection in service of that. I'm an empty vessel. I'm a nothing from nowhere. I'm a nobody. So you will use the term of a spiritual master, or people try and compare. Man, don't compare yourself to me.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. We're putting this out because people ask us, they've reached a point, especially some of their apprentices, where they've learned the basic techniques, or for those people who are still working on achieving the first technique, which is the temple of the soul and working through the place between sleep and awake. That can take months for a person to unlock.
That could
And,
take
and,
years, bro.
exactly. And in the meantime, people will state, they have this expectations of what they believe the benchmarks that they're supposed to hit, or they believe they're supposed to unlock. And they are in control of what they're ready for and what they're not. And they have to just get out there in life and have the experiences that cue them to research a certain book, or to watch a certain TV show, or to go to a certain location, to have the possibility to have their, for lack of a better term, ass handed to them, so that they can have a new perspective and be ready for the different things to unlock as they grow and mature. Because so much of us, of what we experience, we don't benefit from because of our own lack of spiritual maturity. I'm not going to get into that topic because that's a whole conversation in and of itself. But just a reminder that don't have these expectations. They will create a blockage for you where you believe that you're supposed to be. Let life unfold, adjust, and know that part of what you're paying for is not for instruction. What you're paying for is not our time to speak to you and give you insights. It's that we're watching over you so that you make the mistakes. And when you hit that point of a level 10 crisis, you have someone who can kind of help guide you through it. Now, you still have to seek medical attention on your own, of course, if something medically comes up. We are not doctors, healers, or any type of medical professionals at all. But you're paying for that level of expertise of people who have walked the path of failure, so they know the ways to get it wrong and consequently what to watch out for. Um,
We walk the edge of insanity, the edge of chaos, the edge of the destruction, the edge of life and death. We walk that edge all the time. And I used to watch, I watched one of the movies. It was one of the um, Tom Hanks movies with the church, Angel and Demons. I think it was the first movie, and the guy, the
the
actor
Da
was.
Vinci, there's a Da Vinci Code, and then Angels and Demons. Those are the two.
So I think it was the Da Vinci Code, and the guy was The character's name was I can't remember, but he's self-flagellating himself. You know what I'm saying? And he's hit himself.
Yes, he was in the arm of a a a a monk sect that did the self-flagellation
Yes,
to feel the pain to get
yes.
more in context with their sin.
So we don't do the physical body or the soul. We do a state of awareness. That state of awareness, because it's connected to the consciousness, will cause a sense of insanity, will cause a sense of chaos, will cause a sense of life and death that can translate physically. And as Ben said, if you have an issue, by all means, you have to have good medical insurance to walk this path because you're going to have issues. It doesn't come up. But rest assured, we're here to ensure you learn to walk that line without dealing with the physical aspect of it, only the awareness aspect. But to get to that point is going to be scary. And to get to that point, you may have the voluntary events. You may end up in the hospital. You may end up being near death. You may end up any number of scenarios that come up. We're here to support the processes and try to keep you alive because it's this dangerous. It's this powerful. And that's only the first part. And the updraft is the second part. It's that scary. And if you fail and you have the updraft take you over, you start checking out. I can't help you. But we do the self-flagellation by being on the edge constantly, that friction of it. So you can be a friction with the person at a lower level, or you can be a friction with the universe at a higher level. But there's so much involved, and Ben said spiritual maturity, spiritual emotional maturity, there's so many aspects and topics and information, that's gonna come up. As Ben said, it's not any one thing. You're not paying us for information. You are supporting us so that when you have a crisis, whether it's a mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, we could be there to support you along with medical, along with anything else that you're going to do. And hopefully we can get you to the point to where you can do all that we do without having a negative physical effect in the body. And it's possible. I've achieved it. Ben achieved it. Chris achieved it. Is it still something ongoing we always have to address? Yes. You never reach a point to where complacently, oh, life is wonderful. Most people early on in apprenticeship want to feel life is wonderful. I feel the high connecting with Joe. You connect with the updraft. You're not connecting with me. I don't exist. I'm a nobody. I'm an empty vessel. I'm a nothing in reflection to the infinite. So, so much, so much, so much. Benny did an amazing job today. Great information, great interview. I hope I didn't go too off track.
Not at all. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. Questions, you can reach out to Joseph at jessicajoseph.com. Visit us at that's IVE awakened.com or justaguyjoseph.com. And our contact information as well as a phone number are there for your use and resources. Until next time, we hope that you stay seeking and we'll catch you on the next Sunday sit in or podcast episode that we also have posted as well. Thank you. Bye bye.